Janet Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very last week of March 2016. And I don't really have news stories today, but I have comments. It's the Stewart Commentary Week. And you know, I'm not politically correct. And I don't think anybody cares about that, right? Except the people to whom I'm not politically correct about, like yourself, for example. But I will make these comments because obviously we all know what happened in Belgium, the terror attacks at the airport and in the train station. And these are ritual sacrifice for Easter Ishtar. And I do recommend that those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, read my blog on expansions.com. And the blog talks about the history of Easter, which is actually a celebration of the Sumerian deity Ishtar, which became also the Hebrew Queen Esther. Esther, Ishtar, Easter, it's all related people.
Is that in your True World History book too, or only on your blog?
Yes. It's in the book somewhere. Although sometimes I think it's someplace and it isn't, and then people say, "Oh, you didn't tell me that."
But for sure, it's on your blog.
It's somewhere, people, but it's on my blog. Now, I have gotten emails and texts and other things saying, "Oh, you know, it's fake," and they're using crisis actors, which I've never heard that term before.
Okay.
Yeah, and well, people, listen. Maybe some of these crisis actors are used to embellish the story, but the explosions were real and people did die. And any of you who don't believe that should make a little trip to Belgium and look at the airport because it's destroyed. And that was not fake. That was just like 9/11 was not fake. Those buildings came down and they're not there anymore. So yes, it may be all staged and it's a ritual for the Illuminati. All of these things are. But the terrorism, or I should say the death and destruction, is real.
And sacrifice of blood is real.
Yes, and they need to sacrifice blood, so they do have to kill people. Now, here's the thing that I looked at, because the French spelling for Brussels, Bruxelles, Brussels, it sounds Brussels Abraxas. It is named closely after the lower astral entity Abraxas, who is very much interested in blood and death and destruction. So you can look that name up. Also, this happened next door, very close to NATO headquarters or the EU capital, and underneath Brussels is a very large underground complex of computers that the Illuminati use to track things globally. And another thing that was very interesting is that these attacks in Brussels came exactly 130 days after the Paris attacks in November 2015. So 130 is 10 times 13.
And when was it? Not that long ago, when they had actually shut Brussels down, remember? People weren't allowed.
Well, that was during
all this Paris stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they were doing the Nazi salute?
Well, that was on the news today, that all of this is bringing out extremism, right-wing extremism, Nazis especially, in Brussels, well, Belgium, France, Germany. And it's interesting because all these countries who were invaded by the Nazis and tried to expel them now have support groups for neo-Nazi extremism. So very interesting. And of course, here in the U.S., with the Trump campaign, that's also been associated with Nazi extremism. And of course, recently, or just the other day, the U.S. has advised Americans not to go to Europe because they said it's very dangerous. And guess where we're going?
Both of us.
Well, you know what? No safe places, only safe mind patterns. Now, I have also been doing a lot of research, and I have a lot of new info, which I think I've mentioned. I'm trying to figure out a way to present this to you, whether in seminar form, webinar form, blog form. I'm not sure how I'm going to present it, but I have been doing a lot of reading of old reports, old material that hasn't been in the public very much or not at all. Some of it is many decades old. And for example, I'll just give you an example, is that back in the 1940s, the United States had think tanks to develop interstellar Navy capabilities with attack plans for other parts of the Milky Way galaxy. So I was very shocked to read about that 70 years ago, and it confirms the Illuminati plans for a new global empire, which I wrote about in True World History. Then I also had confirmation in this source of the existence of MJ-12, that very secret organization from the 40s, 50s, and 60s that was about alien communication, and the president's agreement with the Greys to abduct Americans in exchange for technology. That was verified as being true. It also confirmed the existence or connections of the reptilians, the Greys, the Nordics, who are taking control and fighting with each other, actually, for domination of the Earth. And that's ongoing, apparently. Other topics that I have been researching, which I've mentioned also to you before, which I'm getting a lot more information, is the red-haired giants, who are these cannibalistic beings, very, very tall, globally, not just in North America and the Middle East, but they've been found everywhere but Africa, actually. And that occurred after the fall of Atlantis and Hyperborea, and it's my opinion that they came from Hyperborea. Now, this information also confirmed that aliens have been attacking missile sites and military installations even as late as 2005. So, and I'm sure subsequently as well. So there's a lot of groups who are out there doing something to the Earth plans or the Illuminati plans. And going back to the political scene, just this week, Trump versus Cruz, Ted Cruz, these personal attacks, even using their wives as weapons against each other, and not that I'm very old, but I've never seen anything this vile in U.S. politics before, even during Nixon times. He was mild compared to this, and to me, it's more third world stuff than something you'd find in the United States. Now, Hillary's been keeping a low profile. She's lost a lot of primaries. She's not happy reptilian. But I think she's in trouble with her own Illuminati group, whomever that is. I think she's having trouble. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But whatever the outcome, whomever they place in office, because there's really no election, they'll place someone in office in November. It's not good. There's not one good one.
Well, have we ever had a good one?
No.
Because they're all from the same people.
Yeah, some seemed better than others, but
They're all the same.
all what's out there now.
They all have a script. They've always had a script. They just put whomever, and we're supposed to follow the script. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't
Now,
matter.
I know you have a lot,
Yes.
so I will listen and comment appropriately.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Trump, since that's kind of where you left off, and then I'll go back to something else. But this Trump stories, of course, it is, like you said, becoming, I don't know, it's like theater to me.
It's worse than that.
But it is stirring up the violence within people, and I think that's, for example, now Trump is calling Elizabeth Warren the Indian, and that he says she's got about as much Indian blood as I have. She got into Harvard and all that because she said she was a minority. And then she's going back and calling him a loser, so it's going
That's
back
so
and
professional,
forth. Yeah, I know
people.
it. And then apparently the New Yorker had a cover that mocked Donald Trump's hands. Because remember I talked about that?
Oh, because he had big hands, big...
No, he had small hands.
Oh, small hands.
That was Rubio, right.
Oh.
Well, apparently that actually started back in 1988 when the editor of the satirical Spy magazine apparently
Spy magazine.
described, this was back in 1988, not now, described Trump as a short-fingered vulgarian. So apparently then they said ever since then that Trump regularly sends this guy who wrote the article, Graydon Carter, pictures of himself with his hands circled in gold with nice, things about his hands written on. So the New Yorker's carrying on about that as well. So, like I said, it's a show for people. It really is meaningless. It's all a show. And then the Wall Street Journal, apparently, Trump fired off 3 tweets demanding an apology from the dummies on the editorial board who had noted he received fewer primary votes than Hillary. He says the Journal is bad at math, and he wants them to apologize, and says the good news is nobody cares what they say in the editorials anymore, especially me. So now then the Wall Street Journal editorial board is carrying back because Donald Trump had called them, its members, dummies. So that's what I mean. It's just, it's like a bunch of kindergartners
Make them stop.
kicking each other. That's why it's terrible. He demanded an apology from the dummies who work there. Then we have Bond guru Jeffrey Gundlach, who apparently, he's a widely followed investor who runs Double Line Capital. He foresees a global growth scare because a Trump nomination, according to him, could bring down the world economy.
It hasn't come down yet.
Well, but they are keeping everybody on edge about the economy over this thing. So that's why I said it's this game. Whoever you are in the game, they've got something for you, something to make you either angry or scared or both. And that's what you need to be paying attention to. And then the Pope on the Easter Eve.
I knew you would have to have a Pope story.
The Pope called for people using weapons of love.
Weapons of love.
To combat the brutal violence of terrorism. Now, I don't usually think of love as a weapon.
Love me or kill me.
Yeah, it sounds like a programming back and forth, which is what's going on now. And interestingly enough, 35,000 people gathered in St. Peter's Square to hear him say this. Well, 3 plus 5 is an 8. So, they know their numbers. Why don't they say 32,500 or 3,200? 30,200.
Maybe they were 33,000.
Well, we're going to get to that number 33 because it's also been in the news a lot as well.
It's always in the news.
Yeah, but in the meantime, did you know that the Europe and Russia have launched a joint mission to explore the atmosphere of Mars and hunt for signs of life on the red planet?
Hey, I've been there.
They said that it's expected to, the unmanned ExoMars probe is expected to reach Mars in October.
Yeah.
And then they say that the fact they've not found life doesn't mean that there is no life.
Well, there is people.
So then they're going to send another rover to Mars in 2018.
Another rover.
Yeah, this is a trial rover they're sending. And they're going to send the real rover in 2018. And then they said, but if they do find life on Mars, that could be rough because there might be bugs on Mars. If there are bugs on Mars and we bring our bugs.
Bugs are in their head.
And then they all kind of combine together, then it could be a disaster for their ecosystem and our ecosystem. So.
Oh my goodness.
But on to your people, speaking of Russians.
My people, yes.
There are Russian daredevils, 8 of them.
Only 8?
Only 8 of them that are going to be the first to drive to the geographic North Pole and back.
Woohoo!
They have monster trucks that they're building. They're huge.
Are?
Yeah, they're very.
If they're Russian, they won't get very far.
Why?
They're Russian.
Well,
They'll break down somewhere.
Apparently, one of the expedition members actually drove to the North Pole in 2009.
Really?
But then his team had to be airlifted out and his vehicles left behind.
There you go.
So this time they want to not only get there but get back.
Well,
So let's see what happens. And then, did you know, speaking of hyperspace, that there's a Hyperloop in plan? Did you know about that?
Who?
A Hyperloop. It's a new high-speed transit system that puts passengers in a low-pressure vacuum tube traveling at the speed of sound. It's like when you put your thing in the bank and it zips up, you put your deposit in, it zips up one of those kind of tubes.
Thing.
Yes, they're calling it the Hyperloop, and that's what gave them the idea, supposedly, to build this. Isn't this what you've written about already, that it already exists within the Earth, with people get in a tube and go across?
It's not that, it's a train system.
Under the Earth?
Yes, and on Mars and Moon.
I thought that it went really fast.
Yes, it can actually...
Isn't it in a tube?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's what they're building.
Yeah, but...
Now they're telling people about it.
But it's not exactly like that.
No, probably not exactly, because it's not the same one. Right. But that's still, like I said, it's everything that you wrote about, now they claim they're building it.
I know.
Not only there, but in Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary. So we'll see what happens with that.
That's where they're going to build it?
Yeah, isn't that odd?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, this...
Slovakia?
Yeah.
That's where Melania Trump comes from.
Maybe that's why. And then there's something, have you heard of this one called the Jesus shot? I thought this was appropriate.
Like a shot?
Yeah.
An injection?
Yes. Did you hear about that one?
No.
Okay, well, apparently it exists in Oklahoma. Then this doctor claims that it can cure chronic pain.
So he got like little pieces of Jesus and put them
They're
in the
calling it
sword.
the Jesus shot. So the reason that this is in the news, of course, Easter week, isn't that odd? That a Texas lawmaker traveled to Oklahoma on taxpayers' money to get this experimental treatment.
And
so
did
now
it work?
well, he claims that it does, obviously. And he says it contains 2 drugs and 1 vitamin that are approved by the FDA. And it's used in combination to treat inflammation linked with chronic pain. Now this is the interesting thing. The Oklahoma Medical Board has deemed the Jesus shot a legal medical procedure and that the antidote has been around
The Satan shot.
33 years. And wasn't Jesus supposed to be 33 when...
Yeah, but he wasn't.
Okay, but that's what they say, of course. But here's our number 33 with the Jesus shot. So I thought, well, that's kind of interesting.
I don't care if it rains or freezes as long as I got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car.
I thought you said people had to pay extra for that. You're giving it for free.
Oh, send in your donations. I gave you something for free.
Yeah, don't do that.
I won't do anything.
Yeah, because we have to charge you a lot of money, you know. Yeah, so we can continue to get richer and richer and richer.
The song gets worse if you let me do it.
Yeah, that's right, because he'll sing it naked. Think, how worse can that be? Okay. And then, now this was interesting because I've been talking about tattoos for a number of years and how unhealthy they are because of all the metal and everything else that goes into the inks and things that you don't know what they are that's going into your body. You can't go through a, what are those things, those tubes that you go in for medical, CAT scans. You can't get CAT scans.
MRI, you mean?
Yeah, and CAT scans. You can't get those with too many tattoos. It fills you with metal, makes you a walking, metal tube thing.
That means I can't get one.
That's right. Now they're saying the amazing health perk of getting a tattoo because it helps you to build up your immune system because when you get it and your body has to fight off all the crap that you put into it, it actually builds it up.
There you go.
So therefore, now they're saying
I'm
it's a stress response.
What if I got one of Jesus? That'd be my Jesus tattoo.
Yeah, and now remember how I tell you they keep changing history, right? Now they have a bare bone, a single bare bone, they say, which has transformed what we thought we knew about Irish history. So apparently they found it in 1903, but like everything else, it was put in a box and then rediscovered. A bare bone.
From a bear.
B-E-A-R. B-E-A-R.
Not a B-A-R-E.
No, a bear. A growly bear. So anyways, it was put in a box like everything else, and then so lo and behold, rediscovered now that we have carbon dating, and they said that it goes back way more than what they thought. It came as quite a shock. It has a Paleolithic date. So they're shocked. It means that this find adds a new chapter to the human history of Ireland. They have been searching for the Irish Paleolithic since the 19th century, and now finally the first piece of the jigsaw has been revealed.
So does that mean like their ancestors were bears?
Well, I don't know. It just means that the earliest evidence of human life in Ireland is about 10,000 years old, but now...
Right after Atlantis, yes.
Now they're saying it's 12,500 years old.
That's when it sank.
So therefore, now it's changing history.
Me again.
Changing history every time.
Not my history. My history matches that perfectly.
That's right. So maybe they're reading your books. That's what I still think. I think they should pay us for all
I think they should.
things that they read in our stuff. Now this was interesting to me. Now have you heard of bog bodies? B-O-G, bog bodies?
Like bodies that are found in a bog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Of course.
Well, what do you know about it?
More than you probably.
Probably. Tell me.
They find bodies in a bog.
Why?
And because they're preserved.
Okay. Apparently, they've been finding bogs and bodies, it says, for centuries. And they said they represent people of varying age, sex, and social status, and they can't figure out why. They said they have found at least 1,000 bodies. So now there's a new book called Bog Bodies Uncovered by an archaeologist, Miranda Aldhouse Green, who claims that they're from human sacrifice.
Well, that's mind-boggling.
Isn't it? She says because the bogs contain little oxygen, there's a plant called sphagnum
You watch your language, miss.
that inhibits bacteria. So therefore, the bog offers a perfect preservative environment. And she said most of these people, apparently what they've noticed is that they have things like a cauliflower ear, dwarfism, extra thumbs, weird things like that.
And then, what country was they mostly?
Mostly in Northern Europe and England.
Like Denmark has a lot of bogs.
And they actually have them, do you know, in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
That's where
a
you're
lot of
from.
them, yeah. Actually, I know where our bogs
I'm
located
not
up
surprised.
there. I've been digging in bogs before.
Yeah, I bet you've been putting bodies in there too.
Maybe. Anyway, the elaborateness of the killings indicates that they were not ordinary murders, and besides, at that time, cremation was in vogue, not being buried in bogs. And they say human sacrifice was around in the Roman times and during the Iron Age. So
It's
I
been
think,
around all the time.
but they are now bringing up human sacrifice again with a book. So here we go. So keep that in mind.
It was just a human sacrifice in Belgium.
No, true. And then the Challenger engineer passed away here, 89 years old. That is a 17, which is an 8. And he apparently was one of 5 engineers who tried to stop the Challenger launch because he was afraid the booster rocket's O-ring seals would fail in the cold. And they said the Challenger's going to blow up, everyone's going to die, his daughter said. He was beating his fist on the dashboard. He was frantic and he wept very loudly. So apparently he retired soon afterwards, and now people are saying that, or NASA is saying, yes, we should have listened to people like him who had the courage to speak
There's
up.
something else going on.
Yeah, and the reason that they bring this up again, well, in my opinion, is still about human sacrifice. So that's the reason I brought that one up. And then, did you know in Las Vegas there is a mini Kim Kardashian who was performing?
No.
Yes, well,
Why would you want to be that?
well, because she was a little person. This,
Oh, like a midget or something? That's what they are.
they're called little people.
No. The little people live in Japan,
No.
okay? These are midgets and dwarfs.
This is a little person. She was known as Mini Kim Kardashian. She was found dead, and apparently she appeared in good health the day before. She was only 32 years old. And apparently in her show there was also a mini Kanye West. Now isn't that odd?
Yeah.
And no cause of
Even the
death has
real
been
ones are
determined.
odd.
Yes, and so now why are they killing a miniature one? I think that's some kind of warning to the family. And that reminded me of Justin Bieber. His look-alike back in August was also found dead.
Oh, that I didn't. Did I know that?
I'm sure I reported on that. But anyway, he was also a look-alike. He was found dead. Now we have a Kim Kardashian look-alike found dead. So, I mean, if you are...
Justin Bieber just exposed his buttocks.
Well, you know what else
on
he
a video.
did? He's done that before. This time he had a fan come on stage to put his hair. Now his hair is like maybe a little bit longer than yours. And he had
Don't
them,
make fun of my beautiful hair.
and he had somebody come in and put into a tiny little ponytail on top.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Now the weird thing about that was I was thinking, you know, because they don't do anything without a purpose. So I was thinking about the bronies. You know, those are the men who like the My Little Pony thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So you remember the ponytail thing? And then the
Kind of.
other thing was interesting is I at one time knew a woman who went to a Catholic school, and she told me that the nuns would not let them wear their hair in a ponytail. And I said, why
Because
not?
they can't, because the nuns aren't
No,
allowed.
because she said, what's under the ponytail?
What's under the... Oh.
Okay?
I get it.
So now he's having the fans put it into a ponytail. So I'm thinking to myself, there's something going
Well,
on here.
you know what? He is what's under the ponytail.
Well, anyway, so then with all of this ritual
And you know
stuff
what's
coming
inside is what's inside the horse's thing, too.
Yeah, listen to me. So now
What?
there are bloodbaths that are coming back.
I mean, other than the kind you give me every week.
Bloodbath to boost potency, restore beauty, and hold back aging.
That's how I'm beautiful.
There's a growing market for treatments made from the testosterone-driven blood of the Siberian red deer
It's always about Russia.
in the Altai Mountains.
My homeland.
Yes. Apparently, the remedies have been known for centuries in Russia, especially Asian countries such as China and Korea.
Yes,
So-
and now you've revealed the secret.
Yeah, and this
You're
actually...
going to wind up in a bog.
south of Novosibirsk, this farm where they grow them, 4,000 marrow deer, including 2,000 stags, and it's a very graphic article, but it's also very interesting considering everything that's going on in the world.
Those are my peeps.
And they talk about how there are people, you know, the health effects of it and how people feel
Yes,
better from
yes.
it.
We
And
make strong like bull.
it removes lactic acid from the body. It's very curative according to all the people
Yes.
who do it. And apparently there's even a person there who works with famous tennis players, boxers, hockey players, skiers, football players, and other
And
athletes.
Putin.
So anyway, it goes on, and it's a graphic article. It has a lot of pictures, so if you're
Oh, I want to see
interested.
the pictures.
But it also shows, well, it's not so nice. It's
No.
about, you know, them killing the deer and
Oh,
all,
no, I
taking
don't
the
wanna
blood
see
out and all
Can
that
I
kind of
Can
stuff.
we just cook it and make a barbecue out of it?
Anyway, it's not a very pretty story, but it's an interesting story, I think, considering what's going on in the world. And then it says, it's strange that we're discussing this matter because in the 21st century, because the faith and the effectiveness of this medicine made from the antlers as well, comes from
Ah.
ancient times.
Yeah.
Ancient people did believe they could cure themselves with the help of body parts. In medieval times, people also believed in curative substances. I recall stories about bloody Countess Bathory, never heard of that
I
one,
have heard of
who
that.
enjoyed taking baths in the blood of young girls. And King James I of
And
England
Vlad the Impaler.
regularly took baths with animal blood. So anyway, all of these things are going on. It's just, again, they're bringing it more into the public eye.
Yes.
And with that said, then Chinese tigers are being farmed to make aphrodisiac wine. It's illegal to keep them, or to hunt them. So they have a farm. They have farms. So they raise them just for this purpose. And then when they die, then they skin them and they put everything else, I guess, in a vat. And then they make this tiger wine for up to 8 years. And it's
You drink
supposed,
that?
for men, it's an aphrodisiac. It's called tiger wine. And, okay, so then I have another one. And this is about the Japanese whaling fleet that went to Antarctica. Excuse me, they claim illegally, but I don't know if it's illegal or not.
It wasn't.
But listen to this. Here's your number 33 again. They killed 333 minke whales.
Oh no, that wasn't nice.
So mostly pregnant females, they're saying.
Ah.
So anyway, what's going on? But here are these numbers. So there obviously is some kind of ritual where they're killing things, bloodbaths.
That's why Japan's in trouble.
And listen to this one. Did you hear about the 2-story inflatable rabbits that will be placed in New York City?
Why?
Well, that's what people are asking. It's called Follow the White Rabbit.
Oh, Wizard of Oz program.
They will be at
and
Alice in Wonderland. They will be at Brookfield Place from April 17th until April 30th. Now listen to this. Apparently she has 17 in her entire collection. They're going to be touring 4 cities throughout the world, although they only name New York City. And this woman's name, Amanda Pear. Pear. And she says that they're a visually arresting social commentary, and she hopes they will make people reflect on how our actions impact the environment. Now, how do giant rabbits make you think about how your actions affect the environment?
Maybe it's part of that furry thing.
Well, it could be that, it's the programming, it's all kinds of things, but
Yeah.
obviously whoever has white rabbit programming, use that brown merger, because it's bad news. And of course, it's all being announced before Easter, Ishtar, and then Ariana Grande wore a half leather rabbit mask while she sang a song a cappella. Black. She had just cutouts for her eyes. She had this black leather looking thing with big black ears and a black dress. So, okay, here we go again, rabbits. What about a black rabbit program?
There is such.
There you go. And now this person, I saw this article, I thought, I'm not even going to report on this, but then somebody on my Facebook page sent me 2 more exactly like it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to tell you, I'm sorry.
What is it?
This is, now I told you about...
It's about poop, isn't it?
Well, not quite, but I told you that bestiality is going to be a thing.
It is a thing.
Well, I know, but it's going to be a bigger thing, like a normal thing. It'll be considered a normal thing soon. Apparently, a man broke into his co-worker's house, and when the daughter came home, she found him having sex with their dog in the basement. So, anyway, apparently he had spare keys to the house, and I don't think it had been the first time.
I would
from what
take the
they
keys
said.
away from him now.
Well, I think he's in jail. But then, in Thurston County, which is not too far from Seattle, Washington State, they found a dog that had been raped and killed, hanging from a tree with its feet barely touching the ground. And they said that there was evidence that the dog had been severely sexually assaulted while it was restrained.
Oh my gosh.
So that's 2 things. And then, now get
Those are
this.
sick people.
South Carolina, there was a woman arrested, now listen to this, showing her performing sex acts with a dog, which happened to be a dachshund.
Oh, don't even go there.
And so then she was arrested for buggery. Do you know what buggery is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. It's called, that means anal intercourse if you don't know. So there was 3 things, sex with animals, and I told you it's going to be, bestiality is going to be accepted in New World religion. And so the first thing is they opened up the imprinting by, and you'll go, oh my gosh, that's awful. And then it's like everything else, you see it so much and hear about it so much, you kind of ignore it, which is really, basically my
Why
point
don't
of
those
crime.
people just get a blow-up doll?
I just think it's all criminal. Anyway, that's what it is. And then, okay, that was South Carolina. Now in North Carolina, apparently they enacted some, what is being termed hateful law discriminating against lesbian, gay, bi, and transsexual people.
Right.
So now San Francisco's mayor has banned publicly funded travel to North Carolina in response to the bill. And he said San Franciscans condemn North Carolina's new discriminatory law.
Right.
So in my opinion, okay, they're not now talking about South Carolina, but North Carolina. So we have a state that really is divided, a north and a south, right? And so they're getting you to hate
they're
one or hate
bipolar
the
people.
other, or, they're creating these. Go ahead.
No, because San Francisco shouldn't say anything, because they just showed a video of a 44-year-old British tourist murdered in the street by a gangster because he was trying to steal his bag, and murdered right in the street, and cars just driving around him.
Well, no, it's...
So San Francisco, no.
It's not
Don't
just San
condemn
Francisco,
others.
it's the world. The world right now, you really, really have to do your work and don't be involved in these things and don't project out such stuff. It's terrible.
Well, San Francisco will be destroyed soon anyway.
It's very likely. And then we've seen, and of course, remember, this is Easter week, so usually we see pictures of Jesus and Mary and the Madonna.
Yeah.
Well, this week we saw the devil, believe it or not, in the image of a rib steak.
Oh, don't
So
eat meat.
somebody said in Mexico, horns in the face of Satan were spotted in the meat. But guess where it was? La Paz in Baja California Sur, which isn't
We
too
were
far
just
from
there.
I know, we were there. So I thought that was interesting. And they said it's unclear if it's been eaten yet, but dozens of volunteers were offering to taste it. So anyway, crazy stuff. And my last story, this is a tourism story, and so you have to be really careful when you travel.
I
Because
know.
there was a California couple that were jailed after they bought a souvenir in South Africa. Apparently it was a 15 to 18 inch giraffe bones, and into the bones a herd of elephants had been carved. So they asked if it was legal. They were told that it
Well,
was.
of course they were told.
Then they went on to Tanzania, and at the airport they said this was Tanzania's national animal, and therefore they jailed them, and they were facing a 20-year sentence and a $150,000 fine.
Even though it didn't come from Tanzania?
Yes. So then they told them that they reduced the charges to failure to have an export permit, which was $30,000. So they said apparently that cost them $30,000 to buy the souvenir and another $30,000 in bribes to get out of the country.
How much? They must have a lot of money.
He was a retired dentist, they said. But it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're trapped in those countries, you're going to do whatever you
Well,
can.
you just gave the bone back.
Well, because you had it. So they don't want the bone, they want your money. And then somebody else said, well, they thought they were maybe targeted as wealthy Americans. So
Oh, duh.
you never know. Sometimes when people travel and, if you put on all your finery, you're going to,
You know
ask
what?
for
I don't know
trouble.
why anyone wants to go to South Africa or Tanzania, because they're not nice places.
Yeah, all of those
I'm
places
sorry,
are
but they're
very,
not.
very challenging.
Very dangerous places.
Yeah, and they're made that way on purpose, of course, but it's like, don't put yourself in the face of danger. Like that American that went to North Korea, remember? I didn't report on
No,
that.
but he was an idiot.
Well, I think maybe there was more to the story, because to me it didn't look like he was a 21-year-old college student. But the point was, you don't go to these countries and do these things, because you
Right.
set yourself up for targets.
Exactly.
And they're very serious when it... So if you travel, you obey the laws. Please, don't make yourself a target. And really, wherever you are, even where you live, don't do things that make yourself a target. Be smart.
That's right.
All right, so with that
Use violent
said...
protection.
Yes. Please remember to like our Facebook pages. And I'm starting my fasting webinar this week, which I know you're so excited
I
about.
can't wait to starve myself.
Yeah. So we're doing that this week. I'm almost completed my blog this month of March on Foods Don't Make You Fat.
No,
It's been
what
a great
does?
one. I'm not going to tell you. You've got to read the blog or during my fasting webinar, and I'll tell you there. And then, of course, in June, we're gearing up for our Alpine Clear Health and Healing Spiritual Tour. So that's going to be a fantastic time.
I'm not going to be there.
I'm sorry. And you're going to places where I'm not going to be.
Well, that's why, because I actually will be in Iceland in May, and then to Poland, and then Germany in June. And then I'll come back here while you go away. And then in August, I'm supposed to go to the UK. And then we have a week-long class in September.
Our September Spectacular. So you need to be preparing for any of these fabulous events. And then, of course, we do have in process all this new research, which we haven't decided how we're going to make that delivery yet.
Right, so people,
we have lots of things
by the
going
way, people, I guess I scared them away with podcast questions.
You didn't get in?
No, I think I scared them away because I said people read first,
They didn't want to read?
No.
Yeah, well, you got to read.
So now I made them afraid of sending me questions.
We do want you to be literate if you're watching our things.
Yeah, like look first and then ask.
Yeah, that's always good. So be sure you like our Facebook fan pages and invite all your friends to like them and share everything all over the place. Get everybody out so that they know about hyperspace and oversoul work, because that's very, very important in everything that's coming up, but plus your daily life. Anything else?
What else?
They can get a membership on our
They
site.
should get a membership on the site.
And if you want to hear Stewart sing more, you have to send in
If you want to
donations.
hear me sing, I will not sing ever again unless you pay me.
No, I don't believe that. I wish that were true. I have
It's
to
true,
live
I'm
with
telling
him.
you.
I'd rather he sang on camera than like I was done.
You're
Those
ju-
too
you know,
many
you're
songs.
just jealous that you
You
don't
know too
have
many
as
songs.
good a voice as I do.
Yeah. All right, so
Well, that being said, I will see you next week.
me too. Bye-bye.
Bye.